Okay, this is Donzika with part 2 of my first tournament game in the last tournament of 7th edition for me, this time against Vampire Accounts. So I'm going to come back into it on Vampire turn. So this is Undead turn 3. He's going to start by charging my Hydra with his remaining Cairn Wraith and charging my Cold One Knights that are stuck in combat there with his Grave Guard and White King, which is going to be unfortunate for them. In other movement, he's just going to kind of continue to move his troops forward, and in particular on his left, his ghoul block that doesn't have a character is going to move real close up in front of my other Cold One Knights and my warriors, so it's going to be vulnerable for a charge next turn. Again, he's just going to use his magic phase to raise more ghouls to keep his units at high strength. In close combat, he unsurprisingly is going to break, and run down my Cold One Knights. And that means he's going to overrun into my Cauldron of Blood with the Grave Guard and into my Hydra with his ghouls. So in my turn, I'm going to charge those ghouls. I don't have a great picture of it, but they're going to get hit in the flank by my warriors that, again, have an assassin in them, and in the front by my Cold One Knights that I'm going to power up with the Cauldron of Blood. I'm also going to fly my level 4 mage off the hill to sit sort of in front of those Cold One Knights to be able to cast to the other unit of ghouls, and keep sort of moving my Dark Riders and Shades around the back of his line. Again, I don't have the best picture, but that unengaged unit of ghouls, that got raised back up to probably around 25 of them, and with my shooting and magic, I reduce it to somewhere in the neighborhood of like 8 or 9 in my turn. And let me, in an aside here, point out a little trick I played that I thought was pretty cool. My level 2 mage was in this block of warriors that charged his ghouls, which meant that she was going to be in close combat for the magic phase and therefore wouldn't be able to cast. But my assassin has a bound item that casts Steed of Shadows, and that can be cast either on himself or on a nearby model and can fly you into or out of combat. So he used that to shoot her out of combat halfway through my magic phase, which then allowed her to go ahead and cast on this other ghoul unit. And between her and the level 4, they bring it down to, I think, about 7 or 8 models. Then in combat, first on my rapidly crumbling left flank, I'm going to get hit by those ghouls and the Cairn Wraith on my Hydra. The Hydra will hold, but I believe it takes a wound and only kills a couple of ghouls. And the Grave Guard don't kill my Cauldron, but they do kill both of the attendants. So it's just the Battle Standard Bearer, and she's stuck on her own against all 25 of them now. Then on my right, as one might expect, those ghouls that got combi charged are completely obliterated, forcing me to overrun through. I don't quite overrun where I wanted to go. I was hoping my warriors would hit the flank of that Grave Guard unit, but they do not. So they're both kind of sitting out there awkwardly. Now, before I go further, I should add that because of the time limitations of the tournament, at this point it was clear that we were only going to be able to play through turn 4. So we each only had 1 turn left. And also, by this point, I was pretty convinced that my initial strategy had failed. The ghoul unit that I initially tried to break through with my knights had been raised back to full strength. I hadn't generated any victory points there. I wasn't going to be able to do a thing to his Grave Guard, and I'd killed 1 ghoul unit, but it didn't have a vampire in it. Now, because I had to overrun when I killed the previous ghoul unit, I was in sort of an awkward situation, because he was all set to countercharge me with his other ghoul unit that he'd gotten back up to about that was about 10 strong, although in his magic phase he's going to pump it up to about 20. And we had to call on the tournament organizer to figure out how we were going to call the ruling, because he wanted to charge my warriors and he was in their flank arc, but there was no way he could get in with more than 1 or 2 models in base contact without clipping against the Cold Ones. And what we eventually settled on was he just charged the flank of my Cold Ones and left my warriors alone. Now in his magic phase, he raises something like 10 or 15 ghouls, so the unit that just charged my Cold Ones is now 20 strong. So he rolls badly, so he doesn't actually kill any Cold One Knights, but they lose by quite a bit and they run. And then the ghouls are they roll low, so they're gonna overrun into my sorceress, and she flees to avoid getting charged by a ranked unit. Then looking at the other side of the board, his Graveguard are gonna finish off my Cauldron, and his other ghouls and Cairn Wraith are finally gonna break my Hydra and run it down. So I've basically got nothing on the left side of the board, and my Cold One Knights and my level 4 mage are fleeing. And right now in terms of victory points, his I've halved his Cairn Wraith's unit, and my Cold One did manage to put 1 wound on the level 2 vampire before they were broken. So going into my 4th turn, and this is going to be the last turn of the game, I was pretty pessimistic, and I figured that my initial strategy wasn't going to work, so it was really all or nothing to try and catch this vampire lord that's been standing around next to that building on the left, raising hordes of undead on me. So what I do, I'm going to rally my Cold One Knights and my level 4 mage, and move my Dark Elf warriors forward. Then in my magic phase, I'm going to start off by casting a bunch of spells at this unit of ghouls that just beat my Cold Ones in combat. And actually, I get a real lucky break here. I cast Blade Wind on this unit, which allows you to allocate 1 attack onto characters. So I allocate 1 weapon skill 4, strength 4 attack onto his vampire, and it hits, and it wounds, and he fails his armor save, and the vampire had already taken 1 wound. So that kills the vampire, which is a big deal. But my opponent makes a serious error here, because I attempt to cast a Black Horror on this ghoul unit, which would probably kill about half of them, and he uses all of his dispel dice, I believe all 6 of them, to dispel this spell, and that leaves him with no dispel dice. And if you remember from my description of my army, my assassin can cast a Steed of Shadows on himself, which is what he does. So he casts Steed of Shadows on himself to charge at that vampire lord. He can't flee because he's next to, we're treating the building as impassable, and even then he's immune to psychology, and this is the last turn of the game, so he kind of is killed. So he holds, and in close combat, my assassin has Killing Blow. The assassin does not have the immunity to Killing Blow armor, so my assassin gets a 6 to wound, and that immediately kills the vampire. So that's the game. I've killed his Vampire Lord, a hero level vampire, and 1 unit of ghouls, and halved his Cairn Wraiths. He's killed several of my units, but when we add it all up, it's a minor victory for the Dark Elves. So that's round 1, and I'm going to be moving on to round 2 against Lizardmen, which hopefully I'll put up within the next day or 2. Again, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll try and keep them coming.